Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode. Today, I'm joined by a very, very special guest. She is part of Canada's long line of goalkeeping excellence and was included in the 2023 World Cup squad. She is a former Melbourne City player and current bayfc keeper. It is none other than Lysianne Proulx. Lysianne, lovely to have you here today.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very, very good. Last time I spoke to a Quebec-born player, it was Evelyn Vienne, and she had told me that she did not find, or she can find, a good poutine spot in Rome. So it's only fair I ask if you have found a good poutine shop somewhere in the Bay Area.
If there's one, I haven't found it yet, but I'm not sure it's going to compare to the one back home, anyways. So I don't want to disappoint myself in advance.
So you've kind of set expectations. If you do find a poutine, it's not going to hit the same as the stuff in Montreal.
Never, never.
How is San Jose like? What's it like living on the coast in the Bay Area?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I've been playing in the sunshine now for what, 2 years and a half. So I love being where it's hot, where I can go outside and all of that. So it's been good. I mean, I'm still kind of just finding my way around, and like finding the coffee shops that I like or restaurants and all that kind of fun stuff. So there's still a lot to discover around here.
What have you enjoyed doing most in your free time and kind of exploring the city?
Laying down. It's
After
been
a
my
long
number one activity. Laying horizontally. No, but seriously, sometimes I'm just so tired. I just go home and I stay there pretty much the rest of the day. There's a few times like I'll go take a walk and get coffee. So other than laying down, that's probably my number one activity.
I mean, you got to rest after playing in the sun, right? Somehow.
No, see, that's what I think.
Exactly. Well, you've just joined BayFC earlier this year in their inaugural season. How did this whole BayFC come around? And I guess your initial thoughts of the interest that came about.
Yeah, I think it came around end of January, I believe. My agent gave me a call and was like, I have an opportunity for you in NWSL. Let me know if you're interested. And so I asked a few questions, obviously, like what club and what's happening. So we got on a call and he explained me the situation with bayfc. And at first, I was a bit hesitant because I hate starting something and not being able to finish it, which would have been the case with Melbourne at the time. And so I was a bit hesitant, but obviously didn't close any doors. And a few days after that, I jumped on a call with Diego, our goalkeeper coach.
Hmm.
And after the call, I was like, I need to go. Um, this is I initially went to Melbourne City to be able to get those kind of opportunity that NWSL offers, or maybe even England or whatever comes.
Hmm.
And so I knew for myself that I couldn't say no to an opportunity like this. Uh, that was the reason I went to Melbourne, and if it comes, I can't say no. So yeah, so from there, I said yes. You said it like felt like it happened pretty quickly. For me, it felt like it took like way too long. Just like the whole background agreement with both clubs and all of that. And but as soon as papers were signed, like the next day I was out of there, making my way over here. So that part happened pretty fast. As soon as everything was set up, it happened pretty fast. But just the kind of waiting for the negotiations to be done kind of took a little bit of time. And especially because we had game in Melbourne City, and since I was leaving the club, I wasn't able to participate in those games. So I
Hmm.
was kind of just training with the team until I signed, and then that was pretty much it.
Did you expect an NWSL move to come this quickly with your move to Melbourne City, or was it something that you hadn't even put like a time expectation on?
No, I didn't expect it at all, just because like I put my name in the draft when I finished college,
Hmm.
and I was told three things. I was told I'm international, I'm too small, and I come from a program like Syracuse that is not known for creating NWSL players. And so I looked at that and I said, that's three things completely out of my control. And I told myself, like, if you really wanted me, none of these three things would matter. And so I don't want to say that I after that I put everything in all the clubs in the same boat, but
Mhm.
I think unconsciously I kind of did. And so honestly, I just didn't expect to like I knew I wanted to come to NWSL at some point in my career, but
Mhm.
I never expected it to happen this soon.
Mhm. Is that something that you relate with other Canadians that sign up for the draft and then they're told they're international, they perhaps are not playing at the top university, and then I think a lot of them that go undrafted just drop out soccer at all. Is that tough from your experience, specifically coming out of Quebec, where we know those programs are not necessarily weaker, but they get under the cracks a lot? So for you, I guess, how is it when you see these three things that kind of say you're not going to be able to have a professional career, but then you actually commit to going on to Portugal, which we'll talk about in a moment, and then a few years down the line, you're here playing in the NWSL?
I mean, there's not just the NWSL, right? There's
Yeah.
so many countries in Europe where you can play. So like for me, this happened and I was like, okay, then move on to the next, like it wasn't like this was my one and only chance of making it.
Hmm.
There's multiple roads to take, and I was completely fine to take any kind of roads that was going to get me where I want to go. So,
Mm.
and I think even going to Europe first was an incredible experience. Just, I mean, to kind of get out of North America and do something different. So, and now, like, with the new Canadian League coming as well, like it offers, like you said, for people from where I am, um, it gives them that other opportunity after
Mm.
college, which
Hmm.
is super exciting. But for me, like that wasn't there yet. So, and like I wasn't too worried. Like NWSL said, no, it's fine. Move on to the next. Like I said, like
Hmm.
I go somewhere else. It's no big deal.
Yeah. And that somewhere else was Portugal. And we've kind of
Yes.
seen that location be the place where a lot of Canadians want to kickstart their career. Why do you feel like it's become popular from your perspective, a person who chose that location, like you said, in Europe, away from North America to get something going and get kicking off with a professional career?
I think, yeah, I mean, I agree. I think a lot of even Americans,
Yeah.
there was a lot of Americans also playing in Portugal. For me, I thought it was the perfect place to start just because, well, first of all, beautiful country. I mean, when you talk outside of football, that's the place you want to be. It's Portugal.
Yeah.
For me, it was the most beautiful country I've ever seen. Um, Everything's pretty cheap, like groceries and all that kind of stuff. It's cheap. So it's beautiful, it's cheap, and football wise, like the league grows every year and you see more and more investment being put into the league. And especially since Portugal did really well at the World Cup, like from a distance, I've
Hmm.
seen that growth. And like from my friends that still play in the league. Um, so I just think in terms of having that first experience, but also having that first kind of putting myself out there and for the people putting themselves out there.
Hmm.
And everything's filmed on TV. And so it really gives you that little bit of a spotlight. Um, and I mean, the league is getting more competitive. Obviously, you always have those like big clubs that are always going to be competing for the top spots.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, for me, it was a perfect start.
Yeah, it looks like good scenery is what attracts you. Portugal is a very beautiful place, like you mentioned. Now,
Mhm.
San Jose can't complain on that. But with bayfc, I kind of wanted to talk about what has it been like being part of a new project? This is a team that you hadn't seen play before. It's not a team that you got to see the players. It's kind of everybody being put together, the puzzle pieces. How has it been now, the first few months, just being a part of this growing project that you're kind of doing a lot of first ever X, Y, and Z?
It's really exciting. Like you said, you're part of the first, and I think a lot of people are attracted by that
Mm.
to want to be the first to participate in this and all of that. And I think for me coming here, like I had no expectations. I didn't know what it was going to be like because, like you said, like it's not as if I can ask somebody who's been on the team before how it is or what's the vibes and all of this. So it was pretty much kind of diving in unknown territory, pretty
Mm.
much, which for me, I find super exciting. I love going somewhere where I know nobody, where I don't know the place and I kind of have to figure it out as I go. Like, this is something that really excites me. So, coming here was fulfilling that excitement. And yeah, as I said, like there was no expectations. I didn't really know what I was getting into, but after the meeting I had with Diego, like, and even meeting Lucy,
Mm,
um, it just, they really gave me the confidence I needed to come here, just with their vision and what they were ready to invest into this
hmm
team.
hmm And I think when we look at BFC, everybody now looks back to that first ever game against Angel City. It's going to be a game that is going to stick with a lot of people. It was also your debut on top of the club's debut. Can you talk me through what that day was? Was there any nerves? I know you said there was no expectations coming into the club, but that first ever day that it was hyped, there was a lot of eyes. Eh, Like, what was the vibe like going into the game?
I think everybody was just excited um, to get together for the first time and play an official game like that. And for me, it was the same. I was pretty much just excited. I don't recall being nervous or anything. I think all of us were just there enjoying the moment, being
Mhm,
present, and in some kind of ways having fun with it. Laughing and making jokes aside. But and then as soon as the whistle blew for the start of the game, then everybody kind of locks in, but without necessarily losing that presence and feeling the energy of the stadium. So it was really a cool time.
I think it's only fair also to talk about your performance, which I think a lot of fans got introduced to you. They probably hadn't watched you before. It was one hell of a performance, 8 saves, a clean sheet. I mean, is there could have you imagined a more perfect debut than that one?
No, I don't think so. I think it went the best way it could have went.
And then Oshawa on the other side of things, she's the one who scored the goal. She comes in with a ton of experience. I'm assuming since she's a forward and you're a keeper, she takes a fair amount of shots at you. How has it been to train with a player like her and kind of have a teammate like that, push you to your limits and you do the same for her?
No, it's really exciting. It's fun. I mean, our training environment is very competitive just because of the type of players that we have. And they bring that experience, like international experience or big club experience, and it gets me to see something different. Like being a goalkeeper, it's all about experience and seeing things repetitively again and again, and they kind of just bring something different, and so it makes me learn at the same time. So it's really cool. Like I grew up, I don't want to say grew up because she's not that much older than me, but like I'd watch Z on television when I was home, just on my couch, and now like she's playing with me. So it was really cool. And I think these players that came in also were a big part in me wanting to come here as well,
Mhm.
just to have the opportunity to share the field with them.
Which teammate would you say you've built a great friendship with so far?
I have a good friendship with Dana, with Jen, with Scarlett. Yeah, we have a good time. We went together.
You and Jen are always hitting the red carpet when walking into the games with some pretty cool fits.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
But talking about these fits, I think in your debut, there was a lot of folks that were not only talking about how great all your saves were, but also, I guess, kind of like the swagger or the vibe that you brought in. Can you talk to me about the tucked in shirt, kind of just the whole shorts vibe that you have on?
Yeah. I've got a lot of comments about like how chaotic I look, but uh, there used to be a reason behind it. So I got surgery on my hip
Mm,
a few years ago, and the scar is exactly where, as a goalkeeper, I land and I dive. And so to protect that scar, I would tuck my jersey in my spandex. That way it doesn't come out because the spandex are tight. And it would protect my scar. So, and even sometimes still like when I don't have a tucked in jersey, like my scar gets a little, you know, it gets, I
There's
don't
some
know what's the word
friction
for
on
that.
it, friction
Yes.
on it, triggered, I guess.
And so honestly, that's how it started, where I started to put it in my spandex. And then as it like my scar healed and all of that, it kind of just became my thing at this point where it's like I did this, I feel comfortable doing it. For me, it's like I do this, it's game time kind of thing.
And then on top of the shorts situation, everybody was like, "She looks extra cool with a face tattoo." First of all, did that hurt at all?
No, barely felt a thing and it took 2 seconds.
Wow, that I was not expecting that. I feel like I've heard people say a face tattoo does hurt. And it's a 0 degrees Celsius. What does that
Mhm.
represent?
I'm a bit of a cold person, and I take a lot of time to warm up to people that I don't know, especially in like team environments and stuff like that. Uh, so yeah, I'm slightly a bit of a cold person.
So a tattoo represents that just fine.
Exactly. It like gives people, a little
Warning sign.
exactly, thank you.
Warning sign. Well, I know we touched on Melbourne City a little bit, and I kind of want to ask you a quick question on the fact that you played all 14 games with the club on the back of the World Cup. I guess did you feel that jump or like excitement of boom that you saw around the league playing in Melbourne City? It was like the Matildas were on a high, everybody was talking about them, everybody wanted to come out to watch and see. Did you feel that from your perspective when fans were coming out to the games, watching you guys, and just how every other game looked like and the fans that came out?
I think it's hard to say because I wasn't there the season before.
Hmm.
So for me, it's hard to kind of base myself off. Was that because of the hype or was that always happening?
Hmm.
But I think it definitely, at least in some cities, it definitely pushed it because I mean, sometimes we were playing in smaller stadium, but it didn't matter because people were sitting on the hills behind or, standing on the side. So I think in some ways it definitely brought more hype around it. And especially I think it was the first game of the season in Sydney.
Mm.
I can't remember who Sydney played, but like I believe they had a sold out stadium or at least close to that.
Mm.
So that just shows that the hype of the World Cup actually carried on. So I mean, I was excited to go to Melbourne City. Just one of the reason was because it was coming off of the World Cup and seeing the hype, if the hype was going to keep going or if it was just like a one-time thing. But I definitely think it kept going.
Yeah, it's definitely writing, and I kind of wanted to switch things to Canada. You've been
Mhm.
included with the youth squad since like U15s, U17, U20, the CONCACAFs, the World Cups. You have been a huge part in that program since, your teenage years. What has it been like being part of the senior program now for, coming off 2 years, every single cap consistently being involved? You took the World Cup trip with the team. How has it been kind of going through these ranks and getting that big prize of now being involved with that senior team?
No, it's cool. As a kid, those are the things you dream of doing. And obviously starting in the youth programs was the beginning and the first step and kind of just keep building on that. And then until making it to the senior team, there's a big gap between, the U20s and the senior team because we don't have a U23 program. So it's a big jump from there to there. And I mean, it took a few years for me to feel like I was ready to make that jump.
Mm.
Um, and once I was ready, once I felt like I was ready, Bev, who had been my coach since I was 15, because she kind of followed us, U15, U17, U20s.
Hmm.
So I've known her for over 10 years now. But when I felt like I was ready, I emailed her and I was like, whenever I can get my shot, like I feel like I'm ready. Like
Yeah.
I'm not the same person I was when I was 15 years old when you met me. And so from that moment, I kind of got a bit in touch with the goalkeeper coach, Jen. And at the time, I was recovering from wrist surgery. And so I was keeping up with them about my progress and how it was happening. And then one day, Jen texted me and said, or sorry, emailed me and said, like, can I give you a call? And then that's when she invited me to camp, the first camp, and it was preparation for the qualifiers at the time.
Beth Priestman, you mentioned her. She did climb up with the ranks, and she was the one who gave you your youth debut when you were about 14. So she does know you pretty well. What do you
Mhm.
think, Bev and Jen are both looking at from you to give you that moment to either start or come on and have those senior minutes?
No, I mean, it's just keep pushing. You know, Sheridan and D'Angelo have a lot of experience, and it's difficult to beat somebody who has a lot of experience. And obviously, Kaylin, I mean, not I think, but she's one of the best goalkeepers in the world at the moment. So I wouldn't say it's difficult to be behind her, but it's more so like almost an honor, just because I get to learn from her and we get to push each other in training and all of this. Being a goalkeeper, sometimes it's about being patient, and then once you get an opportunity, then it's try and take it to your advantage. And so I try the best that I can to be patient. Sometimes it's difficult to be patient, but it's the name of the game. Um, but yeah, and in the meantime, I go there, I learn as much as possible from both Sabs and Kaylin, and yeah, and then I keep pushing
What would you
pretty
say
much.
is your favorite thing about that goalkeeping trio, that department?
Uh, we push each other, which is really fun. And not only do we push each other, but we have fun doing it. Like it's a good time. During goalkeeper training, we have a good time. Even when we go with the team and we're together, we have a good time. So, and even just like driving to practice, like when we leave a little bit earlier, we go in a van instead of in the bus. And so again, it's like a good time. So like we spend a lot of time together, but it always is pretty fun.
Off the pitch, on the pitch is always a good time. Liz,
Yeah.
unfortunately, we're a little bit short on time here, but this is a trademark question that I ask all the Canadians that come on the podcast. And what is your Tim Hortons order?
Wow, Tim Hortons. I haven't been there in years.
Not the usual
Yeah.
answer.
No, like I'm rarely in Canada anymore, but
That's fair.
and honestly, like Tim Hortons wouldn't be my first choice to go to.
Fair enough. That's a fair answer.
Yeah, it just feels like it hasn't evolved over the years, and that's just a no for me.
No, I think that you know what? I think that's a not the usual answer, not the common answer, but the good answer.
Yeah.
Liz, thank you so much for joining me today. And I know the folks here in Canada are riling and supporting you on the back, and we'll continue to be watching. So thank you very much for joining me today.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.